The wind on planet Hana 7 was cruel. It came from the north like a living thing, carrying ice and snow that could freeze a man solid in minutes. The human colony had been here for 3 years now, and still, the settlers were not used to the cold. They built their homes deep underground, where the heat from the planet's core kept them warm. They only came to the surface when they had to. Tejo was 12 years old. He was small for his age, with thin arms and legs that made him look younger than he was. His face was round, and his eyes were always curious, always looking at things other people did not notice. He was not strong like the other boys in the colony. He was not fast either. But he was kind. Everyone said so. "That boy has a soft heart," the elders would say. Some meant it as a compliment, others did not. On this day, Tejo had gone to the surface alone. This was against the rules. Children were not allowed to go outside without an adult. The storms could come without warning, and the temperature could drop so fast that even the best suits could not save you. But Tejo had a reason. His mother had been sick for 2 weeks now. The medicine the colony doctors gave her was not working. Tejo had heard the old women talking about a plant that grew near the frozen lake. 3 kilometers from the colony entrance. They said it could cure any sickness. They also said no one was brave enough to go get it anymore. Tejo was not brave. He knew this about himself. His hands were shaking as he walked through the snow. His teeth were making sounds against each other. The cold was like needles pushing into his skin through his suit. But every time he wanted to turn back, he thought of his mother's face. Her eyes were tired. Her smile was weak. She tried to hide how much pain she was in, but Tejo could see it. He walked for almost an hour. The frozen lake appeared in front of him like a sheet of white glass. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Tejo had never seen anything so big and so empty. There were no trees here, no rocks, nothing but flat ice that went on forever. He started looking for the plant. The old women had said it was blue, with leaves that looked like tiny hands. It grew in the cracks of the ice, feeding on something deep below. Tejo walked slowly, his eyes searching the ground. That was when he heard it. A sound. Soft. Weak. Like a baby crying. But not quite. It was coming from somewhere to his left, near a pile of snow that had formed against a small hill of ice. Tejo stopped walking. His heart was beating fast. There were dangerous creatures on this planet. The settlers had learned this the hard way in the first year. Strange beasts with sharp teeth and no eyes, animals that could smell blood from kilometers away. The adults always said, "If you hear a strange sound, run. Do not look. Do not wait. Just run." But this sound was so sad, so desperate. It was the sound of something that was dying and knew it was dying. Tejo walked toward it. As he got closer, the pile of snow started to take shape. There was something underneath it. Something alive. Tejo could see movement now. Small and weak. Like a trapped bird trying to free itself. He fell to his knees and started digging with his gloved hands. The snow was soft on top but hard underneath. Frozen solid. His fingers hurt. His arms hurt. But he kept digging, and then he saw it. At first, Tejo did not understand what he was looking at. It was a creature, yes, but unlike anything he had ever seen. It was about the size of a small dog, with a long body covered in scales. The scales were the color of the night sky, deep blue and purple, with tiny spots that looked like stars. It had 4 small legs, each ending in claws that were as clear as glass. A dragon. The word came to Tejo's mind without thinking. It looked exactly like the dragons from the old Earth stories his grandmother used to tell him. The creature opened its eyes. They were gold, bright and shining. Even though the rest of its body looked half dead, it looked at Tejo with those eyes. And Tejo felt something strange in his chest. It was like the creature was speaking to him without words. "Please," the eyes seemed to say. "Please help me." The dragon infant was freezing. Ice had formed on its scales, and its breathing was slow and shallow. Tejo could see that it would not survive much longer. A few more minutes, maybe less. He did not think. He did not ask himself what this creature was or where it came from. He simply took off his outer coat, the one that kept the worst of the cold away, and wrapped it around the small body. The cold hit him immediately. Sharp and painful. His suit was good, but it was not enough without the coat. Tejo picked up the creature. It was lighter than he expected, like holding a bundle of feathers. It made a small sound when he lifted it, something between a cry and a purr. Then it pressed its head against his chest, seeking warmth. "It is okay," Tejo whispered, his voice shaking from the cold. "I will help you. I promise." He forgot about the plant. He forgot about everything except the small life in his arms. Tejo turned and started walking back toward the colony. The wind was against him now, pushing him back with every step. The cold was getting worse. He could not feel his fingers anymore. His legs were moving slower and slower, but he kept walking. The creature in his arms was still alive. He could feel its heartbeat, fast and light, against his chest. It was counting on him. It had looked at him with those golden eyes and asked for help, and Tejo had said yes. He could not fail now. The colony entrance appeared in the distance like a dream. Tejo was not sure if it was real or if his frozen mind was playing tricks on him, but he walked toward it anyway, one step at a time, holding the dragon infant close. When he finally reached the door and fell inside, the guards rushed toward him with shocked faces. They saw the creature in his arms and reached for their weapons. "No," Tejo said, his voice barely a whisper. "No. It is just a baby. It was dying. Please, do not hurt it." And then, everything went black. When Tejo woke up, he was in the medical room of the colony. His mother was sitting next to his bed, tears in her eyes. She looked sick and tired, but she was there, holding his hand. "You foolish boy," she said, but her voice was full of love. "You almost died out there." Tejo tried to sit up, but his body was too weak. "The creature," he said. "Where is it? Is it okay?" His mother's face changed. She looked at the corner of the room, and Tejo followed her eyes. There, in a small box lined with warm blankets, the dragon infant was sleeping. Its scales were no longer covered in ice. Its breathing was steady and peaceful. It was alive. Tejo smiled and closed his eyes again. He did not know what he had brought into the colony. He did not know that this small creature would change everything: his life, his world, and the entire galaxy. All he knew was that he had saved a life, and that was enough. 3 weeks passed since that day on the frozen lake. Tejo had recovered fully from his time in the cold, but his life was no longer the same. He had a secret now, and that secret was growing bigger every day. The colony leaders had wanted to kill the creature immediately. They called it dangerous. They called it unknown. They said it could carry diseases or call other creatures to attack the colony. Tejo had begged and cried until his throat was raw. His mother, despite being sick, had stood in front of the door and refused to let anyone take the creature away. In the end, Dr. Nari had spoken up. She was the oldest scientist in the colony, a woman with white hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She said the creature was too valuable to destroy. It was clearly not from this planet. Its biology was unlike anything in their records. If they studied it, they could learn things that might help humanity. The colony leader, a strict man named Kang, had agreed, but with conditions. The creature would be kept in the medical lab. No one but Dr. Nari would be allowed near it, and if it showed any sign of danger, it would be destroyed immediately. But rules are made by adults, and children have their own ways. Tejo visited the creature every night. He waited until his mother was asleep, then he crept through the dark hallways of the underground colony. The medical lab had a back door that most people had forgotten about. It led to an old storage room that connected to the main lab through a small vent. Tejo was small enough to fit through. The first time he visited, he was scared. What if the creature did not remember him? What if it was dangerous after all? But when he climbed out of the vent and dropped softly to the floor, the creature was already awake and waiting. It made a sound when it saw him, a happy sound, like a dog greeting its owner. Its golden eyes were bright, and its tail was moving back and forth. Tejo felt warm inside. despite the cold air of the lab. "Hello," he whispered. "I came to see you." The creature walked toward him on its small legs. It had grown in the past 3 weeks. It was now the size of a medium dog. And its scales had become even more beautiful. They changed color slightly when the light hit them, going from deep blue to purple to sometimes even silver. Tejo sat on the floor, and the creature climbed into his lap. It was warm now, much warmer than before. Tejo could feel heat coming from its body like a small furnace. He put his arms around it and smiled. "I need to give you a name," he said. "I cannot keep calling you creature." The dragon infant looked up at him with those golden eyes. "How about Biol?" Tejo said. "It means star in the old language. Your scales look like stars." The creature made a purring sound. Tejo decided that meant yes. From that night on, Tejo visited Biol every night. He brought food from his own meals, mostly vegetables and some meat, when he could steal it from the kitchen. Biol ate everything, but she seemed to like meat the most. Tejo watched as she grew bigger and stronger with each passing day. He talked to her constantly. He told her about his day, about his mother's sickness, about the other children who made fun of him for being small. Biol listened to everything, her eyes never leaving his face. Sometimes Tejo felt like she understood every word. After 2 weeks of secret visits, something happened that changed everything. Tejo's older sister, Yuna, found out. Yuna was 16. 4 years older than Tejo. She was tall and strong, nothing like her little brother. She had their father's eyes, sharp and serious. Their father had died 2 years ago, during the first winter on the planet, and since then, Yuna had tried to take his place. She was protective of Tejo, sometimes too protective. That night, she followed him. Tejo did not notice until he was already in the lab, sitting with Biol in his lap. The dragon infant was twice as big now, almost too large to hold. But Tejo did not mind. He was telling Biol about a dream he had when he heard a sound behind him. He turned, and his heart stopped. Yuna was standing there, her eyes wide, her mouth open. She was staring at Biol like she was seeing a ghost. What is that thing?" she whispered. Tejo stood up quickly, putting himself between his sister and Biol. "Please do not tell anyone," he said. "Please. Yuna. They will kill her if they find out I have been visiting." "Her?" Yuna shook her head. "Tejo. That thing is. I do not even know what that thing is. It looks like a dragon from the old stories." "She is not dangerous," Tejo said. "Look at her. She is gentle. She is kind. She has never tried to hurt me." Biol peeked out from behind Tejo's legs. She looked at Yuna with curious golden eyes. Then, slowly, she walked toward her. Yuna took a step back, fear on her face. But Biol did not stop. She walked right up to Yuna and sat down at her feet. Then she made a soft sound, the same happy sound she made when she saw Tejo. Yuna looked down at the creature. Their eyes met. And something changed in Yuna's face. "She is looking at me," Yuna said quietly. "Like she knows me." "She is smart," Tejo said. "Smarter than any animal. Sometimes I think she understands everything I say." Yuna knelt down slowly. Biol raised her head and pressed it against Yuna's hand. The touch was gentle, warm. Yuna's eyes filled with tears, though she did not seem to know why. "What is her name?" Yuna asked. "Biol," Tejo said. "It means star." Yuna nodded. She was quiet for a long moment, her hand resting on Biol's head. The dragon infant closed her eyes and made her purring sound. "You have been coming here every night?" Yuna finally said. "Yes. And no one knows?" "No one. Just me." Yuna stood up. She looked at her little brother. Really looked at him. And saw something she had not seen before. Tejo was not just a weak, soft-hearted boy. He was brave. He had found this creature, saved it, and kept it alive all on his own. "You are going to get in so much trouble," Yuna said. Tejo's face fell. "Please do not. I did not say I was going to tell anyone." Yuna crossed her arms. "But if you are going to keep doing this, you need help." That thing Biol is getting bigger. You cannot keep hiding her here forever. Teho blinked. You will help me? Teho, someone has to. Yuna said. You are my little brother. Even if you do stupid things, I have to protect you. From that night on, both of them visited Biol. Yuna brought better food and medical supplies she took from the storage rooms. She also brought old blankets and cushions to make Biol more comfortable. Together, they made a small home for the dragon infant in the corner of the lab. But as the weeks went by, Biol kept growing. She was now the size of a large wolf, and her scales had started to glow faintly in the dark. Strange things began to happen when she was happy. Small sparks of light would dance around her body, like tiny fireflies made of starlight. And she was getting smarter too. Much smarter. One night, Teho was talking about how some older boys had pushed him during work duty. He was upset, almost crying. Biol listened with her head tilted, and then she did something that made both Teho and Yuna freeze in shock. She spoke, not in words, exactly. It was more like a feeling that appeared directly in their minds. An image. An emotion. They both felt it at the same time. Warmth, protection, and a question. Who hurt you? Teho and Yuna stared at each other. Then they stared at Biol. Did you just... Yuna started. Biol made her purring sound, and another feeling came. Amusement, affection, and something that could only be described as a smile. Teho laughed. It was a surprised laugh, full of wonder. She can talk to us, he said. She can actually talk to us. Biol stood up and walked to Teho. She pressed her forehead against his, and more images came. The frozen lake. The cold. The small human who had wrapped her in his coat. Gratitude. Deep, endless gratitude. And one more thing. A promise. Teho did not understand the promise. Not yet, but he felt it. Strong and real and unbreakable. Whatever happened next, Biol would never forget what he had done for her. And one day, she would repay that kindness in ways he could never imagine. The ship appeared in the sky without warning. It was a morning like any other on planet Hana 7. The settlers were going about their work, fixing machines, growing food in the underground farms, teaching the children. Teho was in his learning room, trying to focus on his math lesson, when the alarm started screaming. Everyone looked up. The alarm meant danger. It meant something was wrong on the surface. The teacher, a young man named Jay, told everyone to stay calm. He turned on the screen on the wall, and they all saw it. A ship, massive and black, was hovering above the colony entrance. It was shaped like a blade, sharp and threatening. Smaller ships flew around it like insects around a predator. What is that? One of the children whispered. No one answered. No one knew. Teho felt cold fear in his stomach. But under the fear, there was something else, a pull. A feeling that was not his own. It took him a moment to understand. It was Biol. She was awake, and she was afraid. The next few hours were chaos. The black ship sent a message to the colony, demanding to speak with the leaders. The message was in standard galactic speech, the language that all advanced species in the galaxy used. The humans had learned this language 10 years ago, when they first made contact with alien life, but nothing could have prepared them for this. The creatures that came down from the ship were tall and thin, with skin that looked like polished metal. They had 4 eyes each, arranged in a diamond pattern on their faces. They wore armor that seemed to flow and move like liquid, and they carried weapons, long staffs that hummed with energy. Their leader introduced himself as Varith. He was taller than the others, and his eyes glowed with a cold blue light. He spoke with a voice that echoed strangely, like it was coming from everywhere at once. "We are the Keepers," he said. "We serve the Galactic Council. We are here on official business." Colony leader Kang stepped forward. He was trying to look brave, but Teho could see his hands shaking. "What business do you have with us? We are a small human colony. We have nothing of value." Varith's 4 eyes moved slowly across the crowd of humans. "You have something," he said. "Something that belongs to the galaxy." something dangerous. And then he said the words that made Taeho's blood run cold. "You have a celestial dragon." The crowd erupted in confused murmurs. Most people did not know what Varith was talking about. But Taeho knew. Dr. Nari knew. And somewhere in the medical lab, Biol knew too. Varith continued speaking. His voice was calm, but there was no kindness in it. The celestial dragons were once the masters of this galaxy. For 10,000 years, they ruled with absolute power. They enslaved entire worlds. They destroyed any species that resisted them. Billions died under their claws. The crowd was silent now. Even the children stopped moving. The Galactic Council was formed to stop them, Vareth said. 100 species came together. We fought a war that lasted 200 years. In the end, we won. The celestial dragons were destroyed, every last one of them. Or so we thought. He looked directly at Kang. 3 months ago, our sensors detected a celestial dragon life sign on this planet. The last one. The heir to the dragon throne, a creature that carries the blood of tyrants. The power of destroyers. And you, humans, have been keeping it alive. Kang's face was pale. We did not know, he said. The creature was found by a child. We were studying it. We meant no harm. Intentions do not matter, Vareth said. The celestial dragons are too dangerous to exist. Even as infants, they carry the memories of their ancestors. Given time, they will grow into the same monsters that once enslaved the galaxy. The creature must be destroyed. This is the law. Taeho could not breathe. He could not think. All he could feel was Biol's fear mixing with his own. She was in the lab, listening through his mind, understanding every word. "Kill me," she sent. "They want to kill me." "No," Taeho sent back, though he did not know if she could hear him. "No, I will not let them." Kang was arguing with Vareth now. He was saying that the colony needed time to discuss this, that they could not simply hand over a living creature to be killed. But Vareth was not interested in discussion. "You have 1 hour," the keeper said. "Bring us the dragon, or we will come and take it ourselves. And if anyone tries to stop us, they will share its fate." The keepers returned to their ship. The hour began. Taeho ran. He pushed through the crowd, ignoring the calls of his teacher. He ran through the tunnels of the colony, faster than he had ever run in his life. His lungs burned. His legs screamed. But he did not stop. Yuna was waiting for him at the entrance to the medical lab. Her face was white. "I heard," she said. "Taeho, what are we going to do?" "We have to get her out," Taeho said. "We have to hide her somewhere. They cannot find her." "Where?" "The keepers have technology we cannot even understand. They will find her anywhere on this planet." Taeho did not have an answer, but he went into the lab anyway, Yuna following close behind. Biol was waiting for them. She was bigger now, the size of a small horse. Her scales glowed with inner light, and her golden eyes were full of understanding. She knew what was happening. She knew what she was. Taeho fell to his knees in front of her. Tears were running down his face. "I am sorry," he said. "I did not know. I did not know what you were." Biol lowered her head until her forehead touched his. Images flowed between them, memories that were not her own. She showed him the truth. The celestial dragons had indeed ruled the galaxy. They had been powerful beyond imagination, able to burn stars and shatter moons. But they had not always been tyrants. Once, long ago, they had been protectors. They had used their power to guard the weaker species, to keep peace between worlds. But power corrupts. Over thousands of years, the dragons had become what they once fought against. They had forgotten kindness. They had forgotten mercy. By the time the war came, they deserved their fate. Biol was the last. She had been sent to this frozen planet as an egg, hidden by the final dragon queen before her death. She had hatched alone, with no one to teach her, no one to guide her. She had inherited the power of her ancestors, but also their memories of cruelty, their instincts for destruction. And then Teho had found her. A small human boy, freezing and scared, had taken off his coat to save a dying creature. He had asked for nothing in return. He had simply seen something that needed help, and had helped it. That one act had changed everything. The violent instincts in Biol's blood had met something they did not understand. Pure, selfless kindness. And slowly, day by day, those instincts had begun to change. Teho's love was rewriting her very nature, teaching her things that her ancestors had forgotten. She showed Teho all of this, and more. I am not what they fear, she said in his mind. Not anymore. You made me different. You made me better. Teho held her tighter. Then we will make them understand, he said. We will show them who you really are. But even as he said the words, he knew it would not be that simple. The keepers had waited 100 years for this moment. They had come prepared to kill the last dragon, no matter what. And they were not going to listen to a 12-year-old human boy. The hour passed too quickly. Teho, Yuna, and Biol stayed in the lab, waiting for what would come next. Dr. Nari had joined them. Her old face calm but sad. She had been monitoring Biol's growth for months now, and she had come to care for the creature in her own quiet way. The colony council is meeting, Nari said. They are discussing what to do. They are going to give her up, Yuna said bitterly. They are scared of the keepers. They will not risk the whole colony for one creature. Teho shook his head. I will not let them take her. I will fight if I have to. You are 12 years old, Nari said gently. What can you do against beings like that? Quote, Teho did not answer. He knew she was right. He was just a boy, small, weak, ordinary. He could not fight. He could not run. He could not do anything except stand in front of Biol and hope. But hope, he would learn, was sometimes enough. The door to the lab opened. Colony leader Kang walked in, followed by 2 guards. His face was heavy with guilt. I am sorry, he said. The council has decided. We cannot risk the lives of everyone in the colony for one creature, no matter how innocent it may seem. We have to give her to the keepers. Yuna stepped forward. You are a coward, she said, her voice shaking with anger. This creature has done nothing wrong. She is just a baby that will grow into a monster, Kang said. The keepers showed us the records. The celestial dragons killed trillions. Entire species were wiped out because of them. I cannot take that risk. She is different, Teho said. She is not like her ancestors. I know it. I can feel it. Kang looked at him with something like pity. You are young, he said. You do not understand. Sometimes, we have to make terrible choices to protect the ones we love. He nodded to the guards. They started walking toward Biol, and that was when Biol stood up. She had been lying quietly, her head resting on her front legs, but now she rose to her full height, and everyone in the room suddenly remembered what she was. She was nearly 2 meters tall now, her body long and powerful. Her scales shimmered with light, and her eyes burned like small suns. The guards stopped. Their hands went to their weapons, but they did not draw them. They were frozen, not with fear, but with something else, a pressure that seemed to fill the room, making it hard to move, hard to think. Biol was not attacking. She was not threatening. She was simply showing them what she could do. Images appeared in everyone's minds at once. Kang gasped. The guards fell to their knees. Even Dr. Nari had to grab the wall to stay standing. They saw the past. They saw the celestial dragons, at the height of their power-burning worlds, crushing armies, ruling with absolute terror. They saw the war, the death, the destruction. They felt the rage and the cruelty that had driven the dragons to become what they became. And then they saw something else. They saw Teho, small and shivering, wrapping his coat around a dying creature. They saw him visiting her every night, talking to her, loving her. They saw Yuna bringing food and blankets. They saw Dr. Nari watching with quiet fascination. They saw kindness. Simple, human kindness. And they saw what it had done. The violent instincts that had defined Biol's ancestors were still inside her. But they were sleeping now, wrapped in layers of love and care. Every time Tejo had held her, every time he had told her she was good, he had been rewriting her nature. He had been teaching her something the dragons had forgotten 100,000 years ago. He had been teaching her to love back. Biol lowered her head and made a soft sound. The pressure in the room disappeared. Everyone could move again. Could breathe again. Kang looked at Tejo with new eyes. You did that?" he whispered. "You changed her?" Before Tejo could answer, the ground shook. A loud crash echoed through the tunnels. The keepers had lost patience. They were coming. The attack was swift and brutal. The keepers did not care about the hour they had promised. They had decided that the humans were a threat, and threats had to be eliminated. Energy blasts tore through the colony walls. People screamed and ran. The guards tried to fight back, but their weapons were useless against the keeper's armor. Vareth walked through the chaos like death itself, his staff cutting down anyone who stood in his way. Tejo grabbed Yuna's hand. "We have to get Biol out of here," he said. But Biol did not move. She was looking toward the entrance of the lab, her eyes fixed on something only she could see. "They are coming for me," she said in Tejo's mind. "If I run, they will destroy the colony to find me. Everyone will die." "No," Tejo said out loud. "There has to be another way." "There is," Biol said. "But you will not like it." She turned to face him, and in her eyes, Tejo saw something that broke his heart. She was going to fight. She was going to use the power she had inherited from her ancestors, the power to destroy. "Biol." "No," Tejo said. "If you fight, you will become what they fear. You will prove them right." "I know," Biol said, "but I will not let them hurt you. I will not let them hurt anyone in this colony. You saved my life. You gave me a reason to exist. This is my choice." The door exploded inward. Vareth walked through the smoke, his 4 eyes glowing with cold satisfaction. "There you are," he said, looking at Biol. "The last dragon. The heir of destruction. You are smaller than I expected." Biol stepped forward. Her scales began to glow brighter, and the air around her started to shimmer with heat. Tejo could feel her power building, ancient, terrible. Beyond anything he could imagine. Vareth raised his staff. "Do not resist," he said. "Your kind has caused enough suffering. Let this end peacefully." Biol's response was a roar that shook the walls. Light exploded from her body, blinding everyone in the room. When Tejo could see again, he saw something that would stay with him forever. Biol had changed. She was no longer the size of a horse. She was massive now, filling the entire lab. Her body coiled like a serpent made of stars. Her scales were pure light, and her eyes were 2 golden suns. She was beautiful and terrifying. Power made flesh. Vareth attacked. His staff sent a beam of energy straight at Biol's heart. She caught it in her claw. The energy crackled and died. The other keepers attacked too, all at once. Beams of light and waves of force crashed against Biol. But she did not fall. She did not even flinch. She was a creature born to rule galaxies, and these weapons could not hurt her. She opened her mouth, and fire began to form, blue fire, hotter than any star. But she did not release it. Instead, she looked at Tejo. He was standing in the corner of the destroyed lab. His eyes wide, his face pale. He was not afraid of her. She could feel that through their bond. But he was sad. So sad. "Biol," he said. His voice was quiet, but she heard it perfectly. "Please do not." The fire in her mouth flickered. "You are better than this," Tejo said. "You showed me. You showed everyone. Your ancestors made terrible choices, but you do not have to. You can choose something different. Please." He walked toward her. Everyone, the keepers, the humans, even Vareth watched in stunned silence as this small human boy walked toward a creature that could destroy worlds. Tejo reached up and placed his hand on Biol's massive head. Even in this form, she was warm. Even now, she was the same creature that had pressed against his chest for warmth on a frozen lake. "I believe in you," Teho whispered. "I always have." The fire in Biol's mouth went out. She lowered her head, and the light around her began to fade. Slowly, she shrank, returning to her normal size. When it was over, she was just a young dragon again, no bigger than a large dog. She pressed her forehead against Teho's chest and closed her eyes. The keepers watched. They did not understand what had just happened. They had seen the power of a celestial dragon unleashed, and they had seen it stopped not by weapons, not by force, but by a child's touch. Varith lowered his staff. For the first time, there was something other than coldness in his eyes. It was confusion. And maybe, just maybe, the beginning of doubt. The silence in the ruined lab lasted for what felt like forever. Varith stood with his staff still in his hands, his 4 eyes fixed on the impossible scene before him. A celestial dragon, the last of a species that had terrorized the galaxy for 10,000 years, had just surrendered. Not because it was defeated, not because it was weak, but because a human child had asked it to. "This changes nothing," Varith finally said. But his voice was not as certain as before. "The dragon is still dangerous. Its nature cannot be changed by sentiment." "You saw what happened," Dr. Nari said. She had stepped forward, her old body straight and proud. "You saw it choose mercy. You saw it listen to a child when it could have destroyed us all. How can you say its nature cannot be changed?" "The Galactic Council has laws," Vareth said. "Laws that have kept peace for 100 years. If we make exceptions, if we show weakness—" "Is kindness weakness?" Teho asked. Everyone looked at him. He was still standing with his hand on Biol's head. This small boy who had somehow become the most important person in the room. "You said the celestial dragons were monsters," Teho continued. "You said they destroyed worlds and killed billions. But Biol has not done any of those things. She was just a baby when I found her. She was freezing and alone. The only thing she did was ask for help." He looked directly at Varith, and despite his fear, his voice did not shake. "You want to kill her for things her ancestors did. Things she had no part in. That is not justice. That is fear. And if your Galactic Council cannot tell the difference, then maybe they are the ones who need to change." Varith stared at him. The other keepers stood like statues, waiting for their leader's command. The humans barely dared to breathe. Then something unexpected happened. Varith laughed. It was not a cruel laugh or a mocking one. It was the sound of someone who had just realized something he had never considered before. He shook his head slowly, his 4 eyes closing for a moment. "You humans," he said. "You have only been in space for 200 years. You are young, weak, and ignorant of how the galaxy truly works. And yet you keep surprising us." He lowered his staff and placed it on the ground. "I have served the Galactic Council for 300 years, Varith continued. "I have seen empires rise and fall. I have watched species destroy themselves with their own hatred. And never once have I seen a predator change its nature because someone showed it love." He looked at Biol, and for the first time, there was no hatred in his eyes. Only wonder. "Perhaps," he said softly, "I have been looking at the galaxy through very old eyes." He turned to his keepers. "Stand down," he ordered. "We will not attack today." The other keepers exchanged glances but obeyed. They powered down their weapons and stepped back. "What about your laws?" Yuna asked. She still did not trust the keeper's sudden change of heart. "Laws can be changed," Varith said. "When new evidence appears, even the oldest rules must be questioned. The boy is right. We came here to destroy something based on what its ancestors did, not what it has done. That is not justice." He approached Teho and Biol slowly. The dragon watched him with wary golden eyes, but she did not move. She trusted Teho, and Teho was not afraid. "I will return to the council," Varith said. "I will tell them what I saw here today. I cannot promise they will agree with me. There are many on the council who still remember the Dragon Wars, who still carry hatred in their hearts. But I will speak for you." He paused, looking at Biol with something like respect. "And I will tell them that humanity may have accomplished something that no other species in the galaxy could. You took a creature born for destruction and taught it to love. If that is not power, I do not know what is." The keepers left that day. Their black ship rose into the sky and disappeared among the stars, carrying Vareth and his testimony to the far reaches of the galaxy. The news spread quickly. At first, no one believed it. The last celestial dragon, tamed by a human child? It sounded like a fairy tale, something from the old stories that parents told their children. But then, the video recordings reached the galactic networks. Someone in the colony had been filming during the attack, probably one of the terrified settlers, and the footage showed everything. It showed Biol unleashing her power, becoming the monster that everyone feared, and it showed Tejo walking toward her, putting his hand on her head, and bringing her back. The galaxy watched in disbelief. Messages started arriving at the colony. Some were threats. There were still those who wanted all dragons dead, no matter what. But many were different. They were messages of support, of curiosity, of hope. Species that had lost everything in the Dragon Wars wrote to ask how the humans had done it. Scientists begged for permission to study Biol. Philosophers debated what her transformation meant for their understanding of nature and change. And slowly, the Galactic Council began to shift. It took a year. A year of arguments and debates, of old hatreds fighting against new possibilities. But in the end, Vareth's testimony was too powerful to ignore. He had seen a dragon choose mercy. He had seen fear conquered by love. And he had realized that if the dragons could change, perhaps everyone could. The council issued a new decree. The celestial dragons were no longer to be killed on sight. Instead, they would be given a chance to prove that they were not bound by the sins of their ancestors. It was a small change in the laws, but it was the beginning of something much bigger. On planet Hana 7, life returned to normal, or as normal as it could be with a dragon living in the colony. Biol had become something of a celebrity. The other children, who had once avoided Tejo because he was small and weak, now followed him everywhere. They wanted to meet the dragon. They wanted to hear the story. They wanted to touch the scales that looked like stars. Tejo did not mind. He was still the same boy he had always been. Quiet, kind, not very strong. But he was happy. His mother was getting better now. The old women's plant, which he had never found on that first trip, had been brought by traders who heard his story and wanted to help. She would make a full recovery, and he had Biol. The dragon had not changed her promise. She had bound herself to Tejo not as a servant, not as a pet, but as family. She would stay with him for as long as he lived, and when he was gone, she would remember him. She would carry his kindness with her through the centuries, spreading it to every corner of the galaxy. One evening, Tejo sat on the surface of the planet, wrapped in his coat, watching the stars. Biol lay beside him, her body warm against the cold wind. She was bigger now, the size of a large horse, but she still curled around him the same way she had when she was small. "What are you thinking about?" Tejo asked. Biol sent him an image. The frozen lake, where they had first met. The moment when a dying creature had looked up at a human boy and seen something worth hoping for. "You changed everything," she said in his mind. "Not just for me, for the whole galaxy." Tejo shook his head. "I did not do anything special," he said. "I just helped someone who needed it." "That is special," Biol replied. "That is the most special thing anyone has ever done." They sat together in silence, watching the stars wheel overhead. Somewhere out there, 100 species were talking about them. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was changing because a boy had been kind. Tejo did not think about any of that. He just enjoyed the warmth of his friend beside him and the beauty of the night sky above. He was just a boy who had helped someone in need. And that, in the end, was enough. Humanity had shown the galaxy something it had forgotten. In a universe full of power and war and ancient hatred, sometimes the strongest force was simple kindness. And sometimes, the smallest person could make the biggest difference. The story of Tejo and Biol would be told for generations. It would become a legend, then a myth, then a truth that everyone knew without knowing where it came from. But those who were there remembered it perfectly. They remembered the freezing dragon infant who had begged for shelter. They remembered the human boy who had given it without hesitation, and they remembered what happened after.